Okay, we're going to try this again. I recorded this once, but I guess I forgot to set the microphone on and didn't realize it until editing. I want to welcome everybody to a new project that we're doing. It's going to be, I don't know how to explain it exactly, but basically it's going to be like a four-wheel drive electric UTV car. The suspension and the drivetrain are all going to be from a Rhino 360, parts that we had donated to us by a subscriber. The motors we're going to use, we're going to start out with two 2000 watt motors. If that doesn't work, depending on our GoFundMe, we're going to get two 10,000 watt motors to drive this. And by the way, talking of donations, please subscribe, like. I want to get our subscribers up to 1,000. I need your help to do it. Speaking of help, can't find them. I got two new helpers. Got Storm and Liam, my new two kittens. They were born in February, so they're not that old. Still trying to keep them off of things like the 3D printer. They like to climb up on top of the printer, on my regular printer, and then jump on top and lay up on top of that upper bed there. The framework we're going to build from scratch. I have a design in mind, but the dimensions itself, I haven't got that figured out yet because I need to get the seats, figure out the center console, which I'm going to print on the new 3D printer, and then we're going to carbon fiber it. We're going to do the same thing for the dash and everything else in there. The body's going to be fiberglass. I want to cut the weight down as much as possible because of the steel frame and because of the fact, like I said, I'm going to be running with two 2,000 watt motors. I'm thinking about getting two more and have two on the front, two on the rear. But if I can get the donations, I'm going to just go all out and do the two 10,000 watts. I know that will be enough power. We're going to have to definitely buy the batteries, but I'll leave that to another episode. We're going to let Jody go ahead and do the explanation. So let's get going.
Hi everyone, and for those of you that are here for the first time, please subscribe and like the channel. This project is going to be an electric 4-wheel drive UTV car. Thanks to a friend of ours for donating these Rhino 660 suspension and drivetrain parts. We did have to buy the front differential and are going to buy the rear one also. In this video, we will show you how an easy way to remove the A-arm bushings, the knuckle bushings, the knuckle seals and bearings, and the front ball joints. As you can imagine, these parts have a lot of mud caked on them. The first thing we needed to do was to remove as much of the mud as possible for when we sandblast and powder coat these parts. After that, we will be putting all new bushings, bearings, seals, and ball joints in. Richard first tried to use an angle grinder to remove the mud and as much rust as possible, but he couldn't get into the small cracks and crevices, so he used a drill and some wire wheels. The old A-arm bushings are in one piece and there are 3 ways to remove them. 1. You can try to burn them out, but that is very messy and smelly. 2. You can use a press, but not everyone has or can afford to buy one. 3. This is how we are going to remove them. We are going to use a small gear puller like this one. First, place a bolt into the bushing hole with the nut not fully on so we have a place for the drive screw to sit and not slip off. Position each leg on the outside edge on the other side, ensuring that it is not on the rubber. Using a wrench or socket, tighten the screw down and the bushing will just slide on out. Now the knuckle bushings. The only tools you will need to do this are a punch and a hammer. I do suggest you have some paper towels on hand. First, remove the boots covering the ends. The ones I got, the boots were missing. Next, slide this sleeve out and discard it. We cleaned it up so you can see how much wear there was just on the sleeve. You can see that water got into this, and the rust that is now on it. These are usually 17 millimeters in diameter, but the wear has brought them down to 16.6 millimeters. This doesn't even account for the wear inside the bushings. You can try to clean the grease out at this time, but I suggest you wait until you get the bushing out. You will need a medium-sized punch, something that will slide into the hole, but small enough to tilt to one side to catch on the bushing. Using a hammer, tap it out. Time to remove the knuckle seals and bearings. If you are doing the front, the process will be the same, but we are buying new front steering knuckles that have new bearings and seals already in them. To remove the old seals, you could use a large screwdriver, push the end under the seal and pry it out. We bought one of these seal pullers. It wasn't that much, and we found it to be much easier to pull the seals. Just lay it sideways to slide the hook under the seal, turn it vertically and either pull straight up or pry it. To remove the bearings, we had to first wire brush the top of the bearings because the rust from the seals were so bad. Do not try to press these out. Once we have the bearings out, you will see why. Take a punch and slide it down the inside of the bearing. You will feel 2 lips. The first one is the spacer ring. Do not hammer on that ring. Side down to the next lip, which is the bearing. Angle your punch and hammer it on one side, and then the other. Once it starts to move, you will notice the spacer move to the side. Slide it to the side so you can get your punch between the spacer and the wall. Hold your punch more vertically now so you don't gouge the inside wall. Once that bearing comes out, place the spacer aside to reinsert when you put the new bearing in. Now turn your knuckle over and hammer the other bearing out. This one will be much easier because the spacer is not in the way. Now we are going to remove the ball joint. First, we have to remove this retaining pin. It would have been easier to use a press for this next part, but we didn't have one, so we bought this ball joint remover kit. It didn't have the exact size receiver cup, but we will make it work. This kit comes with two disc-shaped pieces. One fits on the bottom to hold the receiving cup and the other is to press the ball joint out. Find the closest size that will fit over the end. Place the bottom disc in the C-clamp and place the receiving cup on top of it. Now place the receiving cup under the ball joint and place the pressing disc on top of the ball joint and tighten the clamp by hand until it won't turn any further. You can try using a wrench to tighten the clamp until the ball joint pops out, but ours are real tight, so we used an impact wrench. Here it was flush with the A-arm and wouldn't go any further, so we removed the top press disc and finished the job. This is the A-arm and the ball joint we removed. Guess what we got today? We got our two 2000 watt motors and controllers. Let's take a look and see what we got. These motors were very well packed. This is the 3-speed control switch. Here we have a handlebar speed control with a key switch and a battery level indicator. We are not going to use this as we bought a foot speed and key lock. We are also buying a battery indicator for this build. This is the motor controller. It also came with a wrench, nuts and bolts for mounting, and an Allen wrench for the sprocket. And this is one of the motors we will try first. Well, that is it for this video. Thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe and like this video if you got anything from it. As always, stay safe, stay healthy and stay happy.